This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
The Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Bruschi.
Shavaun Scott back with us as we continue to dive into the psychology of the Murdaugh family. And Shavaun, I want to get your thoughts on some things with Paul before he passed, because there was speculation of maybe he was drinking because he was so sad about Gloria dying, who on many accounts, she was very much a mom to him, maybe even more than Maggie was. And that sorrow, I'm looking at this going, this kid never really had a chance. If this is the foundation that he was built on, and this is the conditioning that he's had from day one, I can see having an emptiness, but not even knowing why you have this emptiness or why it's there. It's just, it is what you are. And you see other people having these emotions and these connections and these healthy feelings and relations to others, but you can't quite do it because for you, it's always just been kind of either given to you or it's like you put the cheat codes into a video game. It's all there. Great. It's not that exciting anymore either. It's like he kind of had that in life, but then he never gets a chance to actually feel the journey and then develop the correct emotional responses to life.
Yeah. This was not a family where insight and healthy coping with emotions was ever taught. And those are skills, you know, and we can raise our kids to be insightful, to deal with emotions in healthy ways, to talk through feelings, to go to therapy and get help, you know, if you're grieving. But that was not done. And so, the drinking may have escalated, although my guess is he was drinking quite a bit before then, too.
Yeah. Overall, just a very sad picture of a family in utter dysfunction.
Yes. And yet it's been striking, the appearance in court since the defense has been putting on their case of how wonderful and how loving and how, just the idealized picture that they're presenting when clearly it's not true. Again, we're just not getting reality.
Why do you think it is that there's some obvious roads to go down here, but we're not seeing the prosecution even want to tread on those roads? Mainly the money. Where is the money? They're just accepting this. Oh, yeah, he said he spent that on drugs. He must have spent that on drugs. There's no way. No way. There was something else going on. Either he's a hoarder of drugs and he is buying that much and they're just going into a suitcase or something, or there's something else happening here. I question why we're not questioning that more. And I'm also wondering, is there, kind of some whispers going, you may not want to go down that road for your own well-being in terms of the prosecutor.
Yeah, it's that to me is one of the most fascinating aspects of this is, we always say, follow the money and you'll find out what happened. And there's just nothing. If they know, they're certainly not disclosing it. And so we would wonder why that is. But I've talked to people in law enforcement over here who have followed it a bit. And that's where they're bringing up the possibility of a hit by a cartel. Yeah. And was he, this is what cartels do. They take out your family, and these assassinations can just be brutal. And so it's quite possible that Alex knows who did it, but he's not going to talk because the consequences of him talking could be, again, some more brutal killings.
Yeah, he has his brothers, he has his son. I'm wondering if he's just on the stand doing this and knowing that, if he does go down that road, that they're all going to end up.
They're all going to go.
Yeah. It's bizarre, but that is a theory that makes sense. And it's also, I find it kind of bizarre that wouldn't be more of the defense being spoken out of like, look, guys, this actually does make sense of what it could be, but there's no talk of any of that. And it seems very easy to bring into the conversation by the defense if they so chose to, but it doesn't even go there.
Yeah, that would be, my direction, just because so many people have mentioned that, but, really bright people who know some things about crime and law enforcement. And I cannot understand why it's not being investigated, or at least if it has, why it's not being disclosed.
What are your thoughts on Alec's brother's testimony the other day about him being at the crime scene? I believe it was like literally within 48 hours of everything going down. And he's down there with, the spick and span cleaning up brain matter. I mean, it was horribly heart-wrenching testimony. I have nothing, bad to say about the brother. He seemed like a fairly normal guy, but I don't know. I mean, who knows anything with this family? But the fact that he was there so quick, able to get onto the scene, got permission. It wasn't like he was there, illegally, or then they found him. But Sled saying, yeah, go ahead. You can go in there and start cleaning. And him saying, I just felt like I owed it to Paul to do that. I found that kind of bizarre because why? I don't think Paul would want you to be traumatized by this. At least any human being that's sensible would not want that. There's companies that you can hire to come in and do this. You all have the means to do it. It's not like, what are we going to do? Let's go clean. And then him finding Maggie's phone by using the Find My iPhone app. So obviously it was not long enough for the phone to actually be dead. And they were able to find it. And he's the one who went and picked it up. He notified Sled about, I'm pinging this. It's showing that it's over here, but he goes and gets it. There's just a lot of bizarre things that no one said, no, let the investigators go pick it up. It is evidence. And, oh, yeah, it's fine that you're in here cleaning a crime scene. Yeah. I just don't, none of that seems to make sense to me.
Yeah, that did jump out as odd. And admittedly, the brother presents as a very likable person and very compassionate person and very different from Alec. But why did it take him to come up with the method for how do we find a phone here? Because that's not rocket science. Yeah. And the cleaning, I've been involved with families where there has been a suicide and brain residue left on the floor, and they always get a cleaning service to do it. I've never heard of a family wanting to go in and take care of that themselves.
No, then there are groups, if you can't afford it, that are there for the victims of these crimes that they'll cover the cost. That's why they exist.
Exactly.
So it doesn't make much sense to me that he went down there and then started cleaning. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand that whatsoever. Is there any psychological reason you can think of that would compel someone to have the urge to do that the way he described?
Yeah, I'd have to spend time talking more with him and kind of going under the layers of his thinking about why he thought that was something that he owed Paul. It's possible that, if you spent more time talking to him about it, that it could make sense, that he had some unusual ideas about the sacredness of the body or whatever. I don't know. But it's certainly not something I've ever heard of anyone else wanting to do. I've had relatives die in their home from, old age or whatever, both my grandparents. I didn't want to go in and look at the body, Sure. It's like you want the professionals to handle it at that point because it's so traumatizing.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Bruschi.
Shavaun Scott, thank you so much for your insight into the case and giving us that today. Always a pleasure. Be sure to press subscribe wherever you download podcasts so you don't miss any of the stories we're following for you right here. A full list actually in the episode description. So do check that out. I'm Tony Bruschi. You can follow me on Twitter at TonyBPod. Stay with us.